So in the modern anime era, we have like this huge trope going on at this point where you have your people who came to this genre of anime as a medium when COVID hit and had nothing else going on. So, I mean, even before then, obviously, shonen has been a serious impact into the westernization of the anime genre. And now I am no, you know, expert on the cultural effects or any of that line when it comes to that, but after anything in this world, if I could say to be positive, besides obviously, taxes and death, you have change. And whew, I am going to discuss what personally I feel as if Frieren, sousounofrieren, is now the number one anime of the last 20 weeks. 20. What are we on? 24? 20? No, I think it's 20. And why I feel that way, and just what I'm seeing as an outsider, perspective of how it got to this and why it got to this. Because I feel as if there's obviously a reason, and I'm okay with it because no matter what they say, I think Frieren may not exactly deserve the number one spot as a series, especially I never rate anything until it's 100% completely done. And I feel like that's how any medium should be. However, obviously people jump to, conclusions, and everybody has different opinions and different views and different takes and, different walks of life to get to where they are and how they want to decide how they feel about something, So I think the main defactor that takes away from the people that not necessarily hate Frieren, just the Full Metal Alchemist fans. And like I say, disclaimer, I'm not saying obviously that, my anime list or any of those pages are like the holy Bible when it comes to rating. The only reason I reference it so much, obviously, besides being a complete weeb, is the fact that it's almost like when you take a poll or a census, and it's the biggest collective of data, I guess, where you can see where people come together and move along. So, just a point of reference here. But one thing I have noticed, and we'll start at this point here, is that when people discuss how, especially in the beginning, which is why I personally feel that they released it as a 4-episode intro, because first of all, genius idea. You get people drawn into a obviously hour and such long length of the story, and it's going to get you drawn in, instead of waiting 4 weeks, because at this point in time, society, mostly, America, is at this point where the 10-second attention span thing it's there. The younger people just can't stand it. So waiting a week to week between episodes is rough. And I know a lot of people obviously watch dubs only. And but I get it. I understand. And if that's the way you enjoy your medium, that's how you enjoy your medium. Personally, to me, I feel as if I want to respect, not necessarily respect, just envision it in the original subtext, the dialogue, the envision, everything that encumbers what originally was intended. Not to say that the originals are better than any dubs or vice versa. I don't want to go down that territory. However, I do feel as if that is a main factor. However, with that being there, waiting week to week is a big factor. And then on top of it, a lot of dubs don't simultaneously come out at the same time. Especially with, capitalist freaking corporate monopoly crunchyroll nowadays. Thank God for Sentai Works and High Dive still. Oh my God. But it's just one of those things where to have a cumbersome material to make you want to come, to make you want to stay, to make you want to watch more, and being this invested to do it now, it was a smart business decision and just a smart way to really, it's my honest opinion, and I know with the animators how they're pushed, how they're worked, is the genius idea how to do this. Okay, you don't have to do it every week, because that would just be stupid, but like just to have a 2-3 episode start would be genius. And I noticed a lot of people's complaints is about how, like, obviously Frieren is this elf who not necessarily has no guidance to life, just no purpose. You know what I'm saying? So it almost feels as if she's this dull, emotionless elf with no character, no self-deserved, like, not necessarily worth, just like drive or motivation. And I feel as if, that might deter people away in that first-esque arc of how that builds. But it's essential to the plot line. And, I know if it doesn't have a battle scene right off the bat, or the top-tier animations, or any of those lines, it really tends to draw people away. Hence why, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer are so top-tier. No story, no complexity. However, the visuals are spectacular. And that's what keeps people in, as sad as it is to say over storyline. I can understand it. I really do. Visuals are amazing, but they're not everything. Unless they're really bad. But you can't say that about Frieren. They're pretty dang impressive animations. And as the story progresses, obviously you have Fern, and obviously you have all these characters from her past. And the way they statistically, obviously source material, but the way statistically the story goes, with obviously her, an elf, secluded, eternal life, no real ambitions except for collecting obscure spells and everything for the, not necessarily the love of magic, but just the thrill of having a purpose, really, to be able to, like, do all these things vicariously and all that work. If you're going to live forever, you might as well have something to do. And we get to see how the people of her, at least the last 100 years, you could delve further into 1,000 with her master, but that's later down the storyline. At this point, in the very beginning, obviously at Himmel and all the other, the other people of her original company, which at the time to her meant nothing, especially in their lifespans, with Himmel being the first to kick the bucket after, I think it was, I want to say 70 years. It's like, okay, so obviously for Frieren, when she says she'll do it later, and it's referenced very often with Fern and everything, that, that could be a decade to a century. With a lifespan that's eternal, why rush anything? And it gives you this vibe of, like, understandably, like, helplessness and just loathing, and why get attached to anything except for collecting spells and obscure trinkets when you know everything in your life is going to disappear. It gives you this almost empty feeling of sometimes relatableness, when you're feeling alone and down and depressed. But one day, the one quest that she went on to, and that lasted 10 years. Keep in mind, right? These four were together for 10 years in the original demon slaying party. Builds this characteristic of, like, with Himmel's passing and all of those things adding up, especially the further down the story you come and realize how not necessarily just him, and I guess you could say obviously it was love, but the way Himmel pushed her to get out of this mindset is one of the best, I think, driven points of the main, especially the beginning-esque arcs, or before we really delve into almost the end of the anime series at this point, without even realizing it. And that's the saddest part. Towards the end of the first short run of episodes, I think it was the first episode, actually, ironically, the second one, we get Frieren, after they defeat the demon, the demon king, and come back to where they were, there's this festival with the shooting stars and everything, and it only happens, I think it's once every century or so, or I'm trying to remember specifically how long, but it's a long time. And Frieren pretty much states that, the next time this happens, I'll come and I'll show you the best place there is to see them. While everybody else, is kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, we'll probably be dead by then. As sad of a sentiment as that is, it does happen. And nobody in the party had seen Frieren in those amount of years, right? I want to say it was, like I said, I want to say it was 70. Don't quote me on that. We're not statistically going off this. But to see, Himmel being the hero that saved everything, from the Demon King, and to be this just short, shriveled up old man, being able to fulfill, I feel like, the one thing that was holding him to life, on before passing, because being a human, he was very, very old, and finally be able to let go of everything because it had happened. It's just so, it was the push, and after that, obviously everybody splits up again and time goes on, and one day, Frieren just decides, what, I'm just done, and meets up with, the other members, and obviously picks up Fern and sees her other friend dying, and it's just this, chain of trying to reciprocate what her friends of the last century and her biggest quest that we know of, considering she loafed around for, almost 1,000 years, gives you this feel that obviously these people were so close to her that it sucks and sad to say it took their passing to give her the drive to try to relate and try to bond and try to experience things and teach people things from the passing of her friends. So right off the bat, just the main basic, clump is right off of that, just driven off emotions. Now, obviously, if you're watching Frieren, it's not really an action-based series. So obviously, like I said previously in this video, that's going to cut off a lot of people. But the action we do get to see is fantastic. And just not necessarily the deeper lore, because as an anime only, I don't exactly know per se how much of the lore of the world and everything there really is, considering besides the fact of obviously magic's relatively new to the humans, and even for elves, for instance, last week's episode, how she was explaining to Fern how obviously Zoltrak, which was only invented in the humanity world, not the demon world, or I guess stolen, not really invented, but able to grasp and cast, wasn't around until about a century-ish ago. And even then, magic itself into humanity, excluding elves and everything that we know of, was about 900 years ago when Frieren's master died. And the only way we obviously know that's from obviously the flashback of her talking to her master's master. And just, just to show you how humanity hasn't had magic long, it's just it's just so mind-blowing that the fact that like I said in last week's episode, when Fern asks her why would I use Zoltrak to just defeat you, the pretty much besides her master's master, one of the strongest mages in the whole world. Obviously, she has stated she has been beaten 20, 30 times in her life. It's the ignorant ones that lose. However, she admits that, obviously with that stone clone, it's probably going to be her weakness, because obviously humans have known this their whole lives. And elves, it's something they picked up when they were older, hundreds, thousands of years old. So it doesn't come as easy or natural to them. And that's why Fern, it's just in most of humanity, it's such a basic spell. However, not being so basic for her. It's picking up on all of these things. And like I said, the action scenes we do get are fantastic in this series. You know, the earlier episodes where they face that one demon that she did not defeat, the general. You get, and the way it's just portrayed, and the aerials and the angles and the dynamics and the tones look fantastic. And like I said, you don't get action every episode. It's, you know, like spread out decently well. And to that extent, the way that they do that, but keep enough people to watch that are the people that like action, blows my mind. Because obviously, if you wanted that kind of crap, you could just go, like I said, watch Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, any of those things. And it's not necessarily like, obviously, this isn't even like a psychological thriller like ReZero, or, you know, or a pure isekai like Mushoku Tensei. It's just like pretty much like a slice of life. It's very reminiscent to me of like Makia, but longer time span, and not necessarily as main focused on being able to embrace falling in love and just remembering it, everything that you had, and keeping those feelings to you, but more along the lines of the same, but more of it, the acceptance part, and, you know, just wanting to feel like not only paying back, you know, homage to everybody, that the whole party that helped you out, but just being able to have bonds and not being alone and having a purpose, which very, very prevalent to the times now, obviously, with social media and politics and wages and every single thing and that type of thing. Obviously, depression's huge, and not feeling like you belong anywhere, not feeling like, you know, you have a purpose is just a really big thing. And to have this eternal life and not feel the urge to like relate to people, or even feel like it's, you know, time's irrelevant, you know, because obviously the people around you aren't here forever. Even if, you know, you are, they're not. So take all of that in and just embrace it and teach what you know, because you've got all this wisdom, and you can teach it to these people to enjoy their short-spanned human lives and enjoy the time you have with them. Obviously, you're going to feel heartbreak, but you have the memories, and the memories are what's important, you know. Just being able to feel that and know that you got to experience that is just the most amazing feeling ever. And to be able to teach somebody that's going to teach somebody and have like a trickle down effect down the line, especially like Frieren and everybody else that goes along with it. It's this magical feeling that every week I watch it, and I usually have a few tears. I'm a big crier when it comes to like media, obviously, like lyrics, music, movies, manga, books, you name it. I get in the feels. It just feels so relevant, and I feel like that's the biggest key here: relevancy. The way that you feel. So the worst part is you relate more, at least for my, you know, I'm just making draws, don't, you know, I'm not pointing to everybody, but you relate more to the person that's immortal than the mortals themselves, as us. And it's just so amazingly like, dang, we are the ones that like kind of sort of represent her. And it's just like, it's awesome, you know? I mean, not that aspect, but just the way it makes you feel, the way you move. And it's not so complicated like a, you know, Steins Gate or a Orange or any of those series, where you don't really have to think too hard, but you still think a little bit. You get your action scenes. You get character bonding. You get a little cutesy scenes. Slice of life and relatability. Add that in with a really good color palette, really good writing, and you've got yourself the 9.15 out of 10 number one anime of 20 weeks. Just my opinions. Take it with a grain of salt. Do what you will. It is what it is. But I feel as if that concoction is it's the key. People want different. You know, we obviously love similar things. But experiencing new you don't just go to another country and I mean, some people do, but you don't just go to another country and like order the same like McDonald's or KFC. No, you want to experience the culture of the place you're going to. You know? The same old gets old quick, and a lot of people feel safe with the same old, like Frieren. But experiencing things and delving into different perspectives gives you more of an eye-opening to how the world can be viewed. And not only that, but your things yourself that you teach people can also be reciprocated in ways that teach you things that you didn't know about the things that you did know. It's just so amazing, and I really love the fact that it's number one. Do I think it's going to stay at number one forever? Absolutely not. Nothing does. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. But I do have a feeling I'm just guessing here, at least the next year, until, on Mal, when the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood fans come up and get at it and destroy it, I feel like it's going to stay in that place. And for rightful reasons. Like I said, it is not the best series I've ever watched, in my biased opinions. But coming from a media taker and just the way that it's laid the groundwork, I think it's going to stay there for a while. And you know what? That's awesome. It's nice having a little diversity instead of just one top leading thing. Like I said, Mal's not the source to all freaking opinions and everything. And opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has them. Some are just tighter than others. But with that being said, I digress. And let me know what you guys thought about, what you feel about Frieren as a series and why you think it's up on the top. Why do you think, personally, it's there, and why do you think it doesn't deserve to be there? Why do you think it's boring? Why? I want to know your guys' opinions, because like I said, it's nice to know other people's, mindsets and learn and just differentiate and all those types of things and grow from it. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It means a lot to me. If you are feeling really generous, hit that subscribe button and hit that subscribe button, and I will be back with more videos. So this has been Squids, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.